Welcome in. Today, they say that it's not the destination, it's the journey. But they haven't traveled lately. Here's a quote. No matter how hard you plan and prepare, things can still go wrong. Lewis Howe. And I'm home again. Actually, that was home. And that's why you're looking at a video of it I shot just for this reason. Nearly 4 weeks to the day since flying out of Vancouver to Victoria and then on to Maui, I've come to the conclusion that in the 21st century, when everything was supposed to be easier, travel is just getting more difficult. Of course, there will always be challenges like the weather. That Toronto storm last weekend that hit so many places meant my friend Alan, who came with me from Hawaii for a few days together in Vancouver, did not leave at 4 p.m. Saturday to go home, but at 4 a.m. Sunday, poor soul. Here he is in a much more awake state. And truly, with his huge heart, having been there for us in good times, helping plan a wedding and a funeral within 2 years, the bad times too, Alan is the pot of gold at the end of our rainbow. But it just seems like the airlines are no longer equipped to handle the loads, figuratively and literally. Like my sister Leslie seen here in a selfie, a dually, with Alan. When she was traveling with me, she took a few days to go to her former home on the Big Island of Hawaii. Rain soaked most of that sentimental journey, but her rainbow came when she wanted to switch flights to come back to Maui direct instead of stopping over for a few hours in Honolulu. And it cost her $8. Yes, $8, okay, US, and 2 bags free on Southwest. That's what they're doing. They had an awful December with multiple problems, but how do they reward people for coming back? By earning their loyalty again. Okay, but when Leslie flew from Maui to Vancouver on Air Canada, her flight was delayed getting off the island, so she missed her connector in Vancouver to get home to Kelowna. Now, we knew that was going to happen, so we were on the phone for 2 hours with customer support, well, waiting for customer support, to get her on the later flight the next morning. It was a good thing we did, because the lovely guy named Max, who helped us, said it was the very last seat on the plane. Oh, I feel so sorry for the frontline workers with these airlines. Now, it sounds like a great save, right? Well, until it wasn't. Leslie arrived in Kelowna, but thanks to a borrowed Apple AirTag, those GPS things that you tuck in your suitcase to locate it when it goes AWOL, she knew her bags were still in Vancouver. And Air Canada knew too. But did she get a text telling her that? No. She waited for 2 hours at Kelowna Airport while her daughter walked home in a snowstorm, her son missed an appointment, and her husband, who was waiting there with her, fumed about missing deliveries he was supposed to make. Now, the reason they'd left her luggage in Vancouver was because they had exceeded their weight limits, and so they flew it into Kelowna the next day, where it sat at the airport for another day while they tried to find somebody to get it to her house. I'm sorry. It's just a lot. Take my podcast partner and good friend, Lisa. She missed her bus home to London, Ontario after a brutally long travel day, thanks to a screw-up on the part of the shuttle service, and you can hear all about it in episode 9 of Gracefully and Frankly. If you're missing this podcast, you are missing a lot, including other stories about the trip that don't sound like complaints. Now, Alan endured a 12-hour delay. Leslie's luggage was purposely left behind, and she wasn't notified. I mean, travel is hard these days. And then add to it the fact that almost no one on our flights was wearing a mask, and you're risking adding injury or illness to insult, if you will. Interestingly, our friend Anita, the most zen of us all, managed to fly home smoothly, not counting the 4 or 5 hours in Calgary she and Lisa shared, with plenty of laughs, no doubt, despite it all. Now, I am not complaining, I'm just observing. I know I am lucky to have traveled. We all are. It's just not a joy anymore, no matter what you pay or how you plan. Except for a brutal performance by the hockey team we paid through the nose to see, which is maybe why we ended up in the nosebleeds, Rob, Colin, and I could not have asked for a better ending to this vacation for me. It was grandson Colin's first NHL game, and he was beyond excited. The ticket and weekend adventure were our Christmas gift to him. And although I held him as he cried when the game was over, yeah, Leafs lost 4-1, I now know that he has officially been christened a Leafs fan. Rogers Arena was packed with them Saturday night, and the excitement and joy of being there almost erased my fury at having an entire cup of cola dumped from the row above us, soaking my purse, Colin's first game certificate, and a Canucks toque given to him by a friend who lives in Vancouver. I worked hard at being in the moment and getting shots like this. Oh, and this. After holding him as he cried on our way out of the row, Colin, not Rob, he was back to his beautiful, cheery self that evening and took away only good memories. That's what we're here for, after all, right? Thank you for sharing our adventures. And yes, it is good to be home. We have another family trip booked, both our grandkids, their parents, plus Rob and me in 2 weeks. So I'm not really rushing to unpack just to fill the suitcase again. I know it's a lot of travel, but this is what rewirement is about for me. Luckily, though, it's just a drive this time. No airlines involved for now. That's in April when I fly to Ottawa for an event. But I'll be my usual optimistic self. This picture was not taken on a panoramic setting. It's what the beach looked like to Alan's naked eye. And I will try to hope for the best. I may be ready to fly again by then, or if not, I'll just climb back into my tree until my sanity returns. Don't miss Gracefully and Frankly, a new one this Thursday, episode 10,000 downloads. If you're not listening, find out what you're missing. Of course, a new Drift Sleep story dropped last week. I forgot to mention it, so it might still be new to you. Enjoy this week, and I will be back to you on Monday. Aloha.